I spent years trying to save our family business from collapse, but in the end I was betrayed and watched it fall apart. It was the greatest revenge of my life. I had dedicated almost my entire life to the family business. I had a promising career in technology, but I gave that up to save the business. It was going through a very difficult time, and my family decided to reward my hard work by choosing my brother as the sole heir. Honestly, it was the biggest betrayal I have ever encountered, and probably the worst thing anyone has ever done to me. I decided to quit and start my own business. To be honest, the way my brother and the family business have developed since then has been the greatest revenge I have ever known. To give you some background, my great-grandfather founded a small import company, and over the course of several generations, my father and grandfather worked hard to build it up. Everything was going well, but when I was 24, a disaster struck the family. My father was involved in a serious accident that caused severe brain damage and left him paralyzed for nearly 2 years. My brother didn't want to take on the responsibility and almost gave up, but I didn't have the courage to give up something my father loved with all his heart. My grandfather died when I was about 9 or 10 years old, and I knew that if I stayed at that time when I had just started a technical job with good prospects, I would never have the courage to leave. I dedicated the best years of my life to this company and worked hard to ensure its success and prosperity. We can't say we've had great success, but this is the most profitable year we've seen in decades. However, I was shocked when my brother, who has never worked a day in his life, inherited the company. My father died last month, and we discovered at ICEL that he had left the company almost entirely to my brother. I'm still the CEO and get a generous salary, but my brother is the boss and the final decision maker. To be honest, it's very disappointing. I poured my heart and soul into the company, and my father's decision was nothing short of betrayal. I asked my mother if she knew anything about it, and she said that my father had spoken to her about it before he died, which shocked me all over again. The reason they gave was that my brother needed to learn to take responsibility, and it would be good for him to have me to guide him. My mother tried to reassure me, saying that I would still earn the same amount of money. But the thing is, although it's not about the money, I don't think my hard work is being respected, and I deserve better. I didn't want to take care of my brother and assume full responsibility, while he should be the one to inherit the responsibility and become the chairman of the board. After careful consideration, I decided to resign. I didn't want to work with my brother for a single day, and I still had quite a bit of savings to fall back on until I found my next career move. I knew that with my experience and reputation, it wouldn't be difficult to find a good position, so I wasn't worried about this, so I started working before my brother. Let me tell you a little about my brother. He has always been lazy, irresponsible, and likes to waste money on unnecessary things. He likes to spend money but never works to earn it. We were quite well off back then, and he got used to this lifestyle without ever thinking about the price he had to pay for it. Frankly, he took money for granted. As I already mentioned, he refused to take responsibility when my father became ill and needed someone to take charge of the company. At first, I still hoped that he would try to correct his behavior and make the right decisions. Now that he is the sole heir, I tried to give him some advice, but he always dismissed me and said he knew what he was doing. He was annoyed by my resignation and told me very rudely that he could handle it himself. Soon I found out that he had no idea what he was doing. He started to spend the company's money recklessly, hiring his friends to positions they were not qualified for and throwing lavish parties to please them. Meanwhile, our customers were becoming increasingly dissatisfied. After a few months of work, my brother decided it was time to expand into manufacturing. It was my father's dream, but I deliberately delayed it because there were so many complications. I guess my brother thought he was qualified enough to pull it off. Unfortunately, less than 6 months after I left the company, it went bankrupt. The quality of the products was so poor that the company lost a lot of money, and there was not a single distributor. The company's funds were seriously depleted, and my brother didn't know how to solve it. I knew all this because it was commonplace. But then I started getting phone calls and messages from the employees who had been left behind after I left, pleading with me to come back and help them save the company. At first I was tempted to help, but then I thought about the way my brother had treated me and how he had squandered everything I had worked so hard for. I realized he needed to be taught a lesson, so I decided to sit back and see how things played out. The best part is my brother reached out to me and told me that the company was in trouble, and needed my help to get back on track. I asked him if he would resign and let me take over his position, and if I chose to come back he said no but offered me more money. I refused. The reason I left was never about the money. I left because I deserved more respect. The company is now almost bankrupt and my brother has nothing. His friends have abandoned him, and he is left to pick up the pieces alone. Most of the employees have been laid off, and many more have resigned. The ship is really sinking. After all, my brother once made my life a living hell while I was working at the company, and now he is getting his just desserts. I really want to gloat, but I also know that bankruptcy will have real consequences for the employees who have worked hard for the company. I am also very sorry that a business run by several generations has collapsed, but I do not regret resigning. Update: wow. Everyone has responded enthusiastically to my post, and I am very touched. Thank you all for your support and encouragement. It's comforting to see that I'm not the only one who has encountered this situation. I've spent some time thinking about what to do next, and I think I've come up with a plan. I do want to start my own business in the future, but for now I want to try to use my skills and experience to find a new job. I'm looking forward to seeing where this journey takes me, and I'll definitely keep you all updated on my progress. It shouldn't be too difficult, but in this economic climate you never know how things will turn out. Please send me your best wishes as well. A few months have passed since my last update, and I'm happy to say that I've found a new job. It's not as good as I'd hoped, but I think it's enough for now. I've put in a lot of effort and I'm still getting used to working for someone else instead of answering the phone at any time, but it also gives me a great sense of satisfaction. As for the family business, it's a sad story. A lot of people have asked about my brother and what he's been up to all this time. There's really not much to tell. There's nothing to tell anymore. As far as I know, he's sold the company. The economy is in the doldrums and he had to sell his fancy car in the townhouse he bought. I don't know where he lives now and I've lost touch with my mother. I know my father left her enough money to live comfortably for the rest of her life. I would help her if she needed it. My problem is with my brother, not her. What happened was unfortunate, but I have moved on and am looking forward to the future. Thanks again for your support, it means a lot to me. Update 3. Hi everyone. It's been a while since I last updated. I just wanted to share the good news that I am preparing for the launch of my startup. I have been working on it for almost a year, during which time I have gathered the right resources. I have a small team of dedicated employees, and we are developing some exciting new projects. It has been a lot of hard work, but I am very happy with the results. As for the family business, it is officially over. It was a sad end to a long legacy, but sometimes things just don't work out as you wish. I am grateful for the lessons learned along the way, and I look forward to a bright future. Thanks to everyone for their support. It has been a wonderful ride. Now on to the next story. Story 2. My fiancée cheated on me with my brother. Then I found out she was pregnant, and they have been regretting it ever since. I am 28 years old and am experiencing what I consider to be the perfect love story. I am engaged to my dream girl, Selena, whom I met in college. We hit it off immediately because she is kind and outgoing. For me, it was a complete fairy tale, but as we all know, not all fairy tales have happy endings. At this point, I woke up from my dream and faced the harsh reality. Distance, we come from different cultures, so it is difficult to continue, so after 2 years of dating we broke up and went our separate ways, but fate had other plans for us. I have a younger brother whom I call John. He is very outgoing and always partying and clubbing, unlike me. He is a spoiled child because he is the youngest in the family, so no one really disciplines his behavior, language, or moral standards. I love my brother, but our relationship is very distant. My parents always put aside my choices to meet his needs because he is younger than me. After becoming a German translator, I rarely saw my parents and brother, except on special occasions or parties. I didn't mean to be unfeeling, but their treatment of me made me distant for a while. My brother used to come to my house drunk every night, and I gave him the space to rest. He was a full-blown Nazi, didn't even work, and lived off my parents' money, all because of John's outgoing personality. Selena came back into my life. John started working as a bartender in a very famous bar, because my father finally got tired of his nonsense and he needed to start over again without a formal degree. Jan invited me to a party he was hosting at a club. It was very noisy and crowded, and I met a lot of university friends. She was sitting on a chair chatting with John, who seemed to be flirting with her. Seeing her after all these years made me smile, and it made me realize that I still loved her just as much as I did then. It made me feel brand new, as if we were still together. I waved nervously and she came over to me and gave me a hug. We chatted and exchanged life updates and it felt wonderful. Jan came over to me, and he was surprised to find out that we knew each other. I left the club and we exchanged contact details. Her behavior made me realize that she might want to get back together with me again. Her hints and the way she spoke to me made me realize this. After the breakup, neither of us seriously dated anyone else. I wasn't sure if I should start again, but after all these years I feel happier. The first time we broke up was because we were in different cities, but now we're both in the same city and I've got hopes that maybe we can make it work. Selena and John are good friends, which is a good thing and surprised me. I wanted to know when Selena and John met, but I felt awkward asking that question, so I accepted and let the good times roll. We started seeing each other and spent countless hours catching up to make up for the months when I proposed to her. Because it seems silly to propose a relationship now, and I should be clear about what we both wanted after dinner. I took her to my room and showed her photos of me as a child and everything that had happened since we had met. After a while, I took a deep breath and gave her the diary in which I had written our correspondence. She opened the diary and found a ring and a card asking if she would marry me. She looked at me with tears in her eyes and gave me a tight hug. She said yes. We were both very moved at that moment and our lives would change forever. My parents had already met her and they liked her very much. I asked her parents if they would object because of cultural differences, and she replied that she stood by her own ideas, that this was her life and she wanted to marry me. We decided to have a formal engagement party after she got her parents' approval. She asked me to go meet her parents and get their approval for our marriage. We were sitting and chatting, eating ice cream. John was looking at his phone, and Selena was looking at him after every conversation, as if she wanted him to join us. There was a bit of ice cream on her lips, and I was about to wipe it off. John looked at her, wiped it off with his thumb, looked into her eyes seductively. I'm a calm person and here I lost my cool. Selena and John both laughed, and I could hardly see her looking at me apologizing and saying never mind. We're just really good best friends. John interjected, and the brother never minds, he knows what best friends do. I laughed and immediately asked where they met. The smile on their faces disappeared, and they both looked at each other apprehensively. I looked at them and giggled, asking if I had asked an offensive question. Finally, Selena answered that she had met him in the hospital, when he had been in a car accident back in December. It was a lie, a downright lie. John had left the country back in December. The expression on John's face finally confirmed the lie. John tried to cover it up, but I stopped him and said that if you don't want to tell me the truth, that's fine, but lying is not right. He said that they met at a party, that John felt unwell after drinking a lot, and that Selena came to his rescue a week later. We both went and Selena's parents trusted me, which wasn't easy. Her father is very strict, but with Selena's mother's insistence and help, he finally agreed. In fact, we met 3 or 4 times before we succeeded, but he is a really nice guy. To be honest, if my daughter Selena were in that situation, I would do the same thing. Selena and John really do seem like best friends. After Selena was born, I felt that he became more responsible. I understand that he used to often seek advice from me in the past, and Selena is the same. Selena and John are the same age, so I think that is why they resonate with each other. When her parents finally agreed, there was nothing more joyful than that feeling. I never believe in fate, but losing her and finding her again was like magic. Although life has taken an unexpected turn, she is a very humble woman, which is why I love her, but sometimes I do doubt. She is by Jan's side. Update. Hi everyone. It's been a month since the last update. I've been anxious and overthinking because of Selena and John's behavior, which led to a heated argument the week before our engagement. Their sensitive behavior and extreme intimacy made me feel sick after knowing how John behaved towards her. It all escalated that night when Selena stayed at her parents' beach house, because we organized a beach party, which was supposed to be fun, but it turned out to be really bad. Selena looked really sexy in a bikini. Her friends and cousins were having a great time. I went to set up the lights for the evening's party, and it took me 2 hours to walk to the beach. What I saw almost made me throw up. Selena was giving John a lap dance. Well, not exactly a lap dance, but she was practically all over him and he had his hands all over her. I ran over in a rage and yelled what was going on. Everyone started looking at me and she looked scared. John kept apologizing, saying it wasn't like that, it was just a joke. I grabbed her hand and took her to our room. I punched the wall, my thoughts written all over my face. Selena looked scared and disgusted. She told me that nothing had happened between them. She told me that if she had cheated on me or had a crush on my brother, she would have told me on the day we met. She also said that I was just overanalyzing things, that John was her best friend and that the two of them had hung out a lot and had a lot of fun together before I met her. And if that bothered me, she would keep her distance from now on. She also said that I have always been a person who overthinks things, and that it is normal to feel insecure sometimes, but that I should give her a chance and trust her. Did I forget about it? No. Did I think about it again and again? Yes. That glance was unforgettable. I couldn't sleep for several days. But they both kept their distance. Mum was very angry with JN for acting like the SS and scolded him. He apologized and I forgave him. Finally, the day of the engagement came and everything went well. We decided to sell the house and celebrate the engagement in a church, where we took our vows. The vows were very funny, full of emotion and romance. She looked very beautiful, like an angel from a dream. We danced and had a great time. It was the best thing that ever happened to me. If you told me this happened 4 years ago, I would have laughed. Jan drank a lot and danced like crazy. Selena never drinks, so I didn't drink either. After the party, we both prayed and made a wish on each other. She kissed my face like crazy, it was so cute. I took her to my place and we made out. I had a hard time controlling myself, and then I had to ask her if she was willing to do it. She took my hand and told me she wanted to wait until marriage to make it special. I laughed and agreed with her. A few days later, when I returned to my house, I decided to go see Selena after work. As I entered her driveway, I saw John leaving her house. The house. I went in and waited for her to talk about John's arrival, but she didn't. Instead, she served dinner. But I felt the meal was tasteless because I kept thinking about it and many questions came to mind. I couldn't help but ask Selena about John, and she casually replied that yes, John wasn't feeling well, so he stopped by to pick up some medicine. After that, I couldn't sleep all night thinking about her. After all that had happened, her behavior made me wonder if she really was sick, or if I was just being paranoid, because she had already assured me that if I asked again, she would think I was spying on her. I wish all those thoughts would go away, because they're giving me a negative impression of Selena. Her behavior makes me feel suspicious. She always keeps her phone upside down. And I don't even know her password. I've never seen her on the phone, and she always turns off the internet, which is very strange. The next morning, I asked Selena if she wanted to get married next month. It would be a destination wedding, and I wanted to plan it with her. But her response was cold and uninteresting. She told me to wait, and if she wanted to get promoted at her hospital, she couldn't take time off for any reason. She used to always reply to text messages and call me regularly. But now her replies are late and she's always irritable, so I've given her the space she needs. Update. Hi everyone, it's been 2 months since the last update. I don't know how to describe my situation in words, but sometimes your overthinking is not overthinking. Our story was a fairy tale, a dream of my life, but in the blink of an eye it turned into a nightmare that has caused very serious damage to my mental health. I'm receiving treatment from a psychologist. Her cold words and actions have refused to see me, saying that she is too busy with work. I used to deliberately call JN and Selena to see if they were together, but they never answered my calls, which made me even more suspicious. I have been unable to sleep all night, going crazy with the thought that my fiancé may be having an affair with my brother. I need to find out the truth, but I have decided to check on her at the weekend and surprise her with her favorite macarons and flowers. I drove towards her house and knocked on the door, but no one answered. After knocking 3 or 4 times, I took a step back and suddenly saw John's car parked on the roadside. My stomach was burning with anxiety, and I panicked, not knowing what to do. So I called her, but she didn't answer. I was about to call John, but then decided to stop and go back to the car. After a while, I finally saw John walking out of her house. My worst fears had come true. How could they meet without telling me? She had promised to keep their distance and respect my feelings, but she was meeting him behind my back. I don't know what their relationship is, but meeting behind someone's back is a minor infidelity. It can drive someone crazy, create insecurity, make it impossible to eat or sleep, impossible to concentrate at work, make the body numb, and leave you wondering how to react. As soon as John left, I got a call from Selena. I asked if I could come over and she immediately agreed. I dried my tears and went inside. I gave her a few hours' notice and she gave me a big hug and kissed me on the cheek for 2 minutes. I sat on the sofa, and she put her head in my lap and ate macaroni. I looked at her innocent face and couldn't believe she had done this. Selena was a very religious and morally upright person. After hugging each other for a while, I finished and wanted to go to the bathroom. I was washing my hands when I saw something that changed my life and almost scared me to death. It was a positive pregnancy test that had probably been thrown into the trash in a hurry, but it didn't go in. When I got it with trembling hands, it sent shockwaves through my body. The test felt like a dagger in my heart. Selena was knocking on the bathroom door. She knew. She knew. I opened the door, holding the test in my hand and tears in my eyes. She looked at me, a mixture of disbelief, fear and so many other emotions. I couldn't find the words to express her betrayal. It was Jayen's betrayal, but it came from her. I stuttered and asked her how she could do this to me. She got down on her knees and started begging me to give her a chance to explain and tell the truth. I didn't have the courage, so I left immediately. I didn't realize that she would ruin my life, when it was she who saved it. Maybe the truth was always staring me in the face, but I just didn't see it. I drove to my parents' house, and everything started to become clear. They called me over and over again. She had been manipulating me, which was why she kept apologizing for no reason. She lied to me, saying she was still a virgin, that she was pregnant with my brother's child. I went back to my parents' house and told them everything. Jen sat there with no trace of remorse on her face. I was furious and took the opportunity to tell my parents that they were also the ones who had ruined my life. They had failed to raise their child, and instead raised him to be like Saul, without love or care. A complete selfish little man who didn't even hesitate to bite his own brother. Mom and Dad kept apologizing. She kept crying and kept hugging me, but I didn't hug her back. It was their fault. They had ignored the child's behavior and what he had taken from his past history. He could have done better. I put the pregnancy test on the table. Selena's parents were disgusted. Her mother slapped her and asked what was wrong with her upbringing. She went against God and her religion. To be honest, I don't care about religion, but her betrayal and such low moral values make me sick. I know her, and it's hard to believe. I swear to God I will never trust anyone again. That day I dissolved the engagement with Selena because she was pregnant with my brother, and they decided to let them get married. Update 3. Our families decided to let Jayen and Selena get married, with a shared sense of guilt and a secret. But what was most surprising was that Selena's situation continued to deteriorate. The only person who did not suffer retribution was Jayen, while Selena suffered greatly. Jayen was a jerk. There was a warning in him, that he was a charming womanizer, and commitment was something foreign to him. The whole pregnancy thing made him feel suffocated. Selena agreed to the engagement not because she was in love with me, but to win John back, and she kept up the pretense of being in love with me. She admitted that she and I were now, and that when Jayen was asked to make a commitment, his interest immediately disappeared. I knew nothing about this, but I learned everything from Selena's mother. Selena called me regularly to cry when John demanded that she have an abortion. Selena did realize that she was just another conquest for him, and regretted what she had done to me. Her mother didn't let her have an abortion because of their religious beliefs. During their honeymoon, she thought that she could get through it by making him jealous through me. But it turned out to be a nightmare that ruined many people's lives, and John was just another stupid and unreasonable act. He doesn't care about his child and has hurt her. I have been taking medication and attending many mental health seminars, but the situation has not improved, so I accepted an interview for a job overseas and decided to leave the country for a while. I have no one to take care of me, and my parents are just doing their duty. John has not even apologized to me, so what can I expect from him? Despite the worst things I have faced, I still feel sad and wish her the best for the baby. Because of the way she manipulated me, she was manipulated by him too. John was the biggest player, he was charismatic, he showed love and care, and then suddenly stopped, which would drive anyone crazy. Whatever happens is part of life, but he could have been a good father and husband and give her a good life. She eventually decided to become a single mother, and my family agreed to raise the child and even decided to give her and the baby a house. I finally passed the interview and left the country, but the pain of the past has never been far from my heart, as if a shadow looms over me, reminding me of the scars on my body, and the same is true for her. We both realized the irony, and she used her years of regret and her bright future with her brother, as well as her remorse, to make me feel a strange mixture of emotions. I was angry and happy to see her recognize her mistakes, but John continued to do as he pleased, ignoring his parents' objections. He didn't care at all and never showed any willingness to change. I have moved on from the past and learned a lot, especially to trust my instincts and listen to my heart.